episode. Today I'm going to go over some things that I've noticed with the cam and some things that have made the cam swap a lot easier. And I'll definitely be going over some of the tools, specialty tools that I used that definitely helped. Whether you choose them to use them or not is entirely up to you, but I would recommend them. This is a brief overview of the tools that I used. I will be going through each one and explaining why I thought they were so useful. The first piece I'm going to be reviewing is the valve spring compressor tool that we made. Well, actually, my friend Dan made it, and then we had to modify it when we got it going in the car. So it is 4-inch piece of steel by 2-inch piece of steel. Actually, it's slightly under. Doesn't matter. The hole from the top of the spring compressor is 1 5/8, and that is, I believe, a 1/2-inch hole. The slit from the bottom goes in approximately 1 1/4 inches, and it is 3/4 of an inch wide. And that should, if you're planning on making that, that should give you a spring compressor tool. Hope you're all able to see that. So, starting from the middle, it is 1/2 inch, and then ends at about 3/8. I'm sure if you just put it in the middle like that, and you do a 3/4 inch slot, you will be just fine. And like I said before, if you couldn't see, there we go, that looks right. It's about 1 5/8 inches down, and it is approximately 1/2 inch hole. Now that that's done, the parts that I use are from Home Depot. They were a socket set screw, M8 by 1.25 by 80 millimeters. And the part for that is 789557. The next part I used were the 2 nuts. Those are M8 by 1.25, and they're stainless just because those are the only ones I could find. This is what the threaded rod package looks like, and that's it in there. Next thing I ordered was the valve holder. So as you can see, this is from Lyle. It does 14 millimeters and 18 millimeters, and it is a 19700 valve holder. I put a, whatever that thing is called, chuck on the end of it. So it makes it a hell of a lot easier, because when you're screwing it in, then all you have to do is plug your air hose into the back of it. I'd highly recommend this tool as well. If you can't find one on the internet, or if you can borrow one, do it, because I think it was $20. I replaced my valve seals, or seat hats, whatever they're called, and I used a 7/16 long socket, and basically pulled them off with pliers, and then hit them on with this, an extension. To get the locking retainers off, I used a smaller magnet. I've seen people use the bigger magnet. This one I got from Harbor Freight, this one I got from AutoZone. This probably would have worked in a pinch, but this one was a lot more useful. The one thing that I really enjoyed using was this tiny little drill. And what was nice about it is I could just put it forward or reverse, and it would compress the valve spring enough to get the retainers off, and then back it up, and I'd be able to pull the tool off. So those were some really useful parts and tools that I used. I'll go ahead and I'll show you the dimensions of the spring compressor one more time. Make sure that you guys got it. So 4 inches by 2 inches, and then this is 1.25 inches by 3/4 inch, and the hole is 1 5/8 down, and it is 1/2 inch big. Okay? It's that easy. That'll save you about $25. Now the next thing I used were two dowel rods. They're 5/16. To be honest, I probably could have just bought one and cut it in half because they were really long, but I didn't know that at the time, and I just bought two. It wouldn't have hurt much to just buy two. I think they're 70 cents a piece, and they stop the lifters from falling in, so I would recommend those. Now, one of the big things I noticed when I was installing my cam, which isn't easily seen on video, was that the engine and transmission would just spin and it would make the tires spin. So I was actually moving the car backwards and forwards. Probably a parking brake would have helped, as I no longer have one. It didn't help at all. So it was very difficult to get the, whatever it's called, harmonic balancer torqued down to the right specs. In hindsight, I don't know what I would have done. We tried to put a screwdriver through it and hold it like that. That wasn't very successful. I believe we did get it torqued down enough. We definitely got it to 150, because that's where my torque wrench limit was. So we really don't know if we got it to 250 and then another 60 degrees or whatever, but we did get it pretty far. Let's see, what else? I got oil everywhere. I don't really care about this paint, to be honest, because the person who did it screwed up, and it sucks, and the bottom of my mirrors are still red. But if I were to do it again, and I cared about my paint, I would definitely put some saran wrap down or something. The video cut off, and I was really tired by the end of it, and I actually forgot to go get a new battery, and so you missed about half the install, because I mean, you got the cam in and the cam plate back on and everything else, but you missed the valve springs. But I did show you all the tools I just used in order to get the valve springs on. So, the other thing I should mention is that you should definitely know what the timing marks look like before you attempt to do a cam swap. I did not, and I thought I had lined it up on the crank with the appropriate dot. Turned out it was just a little white mark, and it wasn't actually the dot that I was looking for. So we got it all lined up, got it perfect, and then I thought, no, you know, that doesn't look right. So we spanned the motor over a couple times, and then we found the real dot, and then we had to start all over again. So there's a little bit of a trick where you kind of have to get the chain on there, and then also get the slot in, and you have to pull the cam forward slightly so that it lines up with everything else. It's a little bit tricky. You'll figure it out, but it would have, in hindsight, like I said, doing this out of the engine would have made a world of difference. Probably would, well, I still would have done the side pipes, but I definitely would have put more baffle in there. But to be able to see everything would have been so much easier. Lining up the dots wasn't too bad once I found them. It probably took me maybe a whole 5 to 10 minutes to get the two cams lined up with the chain on, or the two dots lined up perpendicular to each other, perpendicular to the engine, and then everything tightened down and ready to go. It was a bit of a surprise. I didn't know I'd be looking for that. But I would definitely, it's basically just a tiny little dot on one of the teeth of the gear on both sides. Definitely do your homework and look for that. The cam pin wants to go at about I think it's a 3 o'clock position. No, that's not. Yeah, that is right. 3 o'clock position. So that might be helpful. Things I would do differently. Do it out of the car. Do it before I put the engine in. Have a parking brake. Things that, it's too late to do now. But somebody told me this cam might work well with the turbo, so that is good. Otherwise, if I was staying NA, I might consider getting a bigger cam, but I'm pretty happy with it. Can I feel a difference? Well, I'll answer that in a second. So initial thoughts on the cam. I've been able to drive it about 3 times. I took it out today. It makes a wonderful noise. Probably too much of it. I was sick most of the day, or most of this week, so I haven't actually really been able to drive it. as it's a weekend warrior now and not a full-time, not a daily driver. So the Fitech kit needs time to adjust to the cam, as when I get on the freeway and go full throttle, it seems to kind of skimp out on it, and you're going to hear it like backfiring a little. I have been getting the springs up to temp before I get it on the freeway and wide open, but that is my initial thought. It's way too loud. I'm going to have to do something with the exhaust. It sounds great when you're just sitting at idle, but as soon as you get on it at all, it deafens everyone, including yourself, and that's not a great thing, especially for long rides. Can I feel a difference with the Canon? As of right now, no. And the reason I say no is because, although it's much more lopey, it's so loud now that as soon as I get on it, I really have to get out of it because it just attracts so much attention, which isn't always a good thing. When I had my Flowmasters on, they were so quiet that I could take it to $5 or $6 grand, and people right next to me would hear it, but it didn't raise the dead. So, like I said, in hindsight, making the exhaust, I would have put in more baffles, or I would have saved up and I would have got like a proper baffle. But yeah, I'm looking forward to really getting it out on the road and opening it up, because right now I have no idea if it makes more power. Between that and the backfiring when I get into it on the wide open throttle, it's not super noticeable that there's more power. Definitely louder, but that's about it so far. So if you guys have any comments, questions, or concerns about the cam swap or about what I've done to my car, please comment below. I had 29 subscribers, I had 30 subscribers, which is great, and then I seem to have lost one in the night. Not too worried. I mostly do this because when I first started making my car, there wasn't a whole lot of information out there as far as LS swaps and as far as new product reviews. There's a few people like Corvette Ben who fixes them and will show you things like that, but no one's really putting the products on the car that I've seen. That might have changed since I've started making this, but at the time I started this, there was not like a really good set of videos on how to do anything to a Corvette, so as far as modifying it. So I hope I can help some of you guys out, and if you want to see anything, let me know. Thanks.